Today on Community Cooking, we have guest chef Jessica Beaudoin here in the kitchen making an Asian-inspired menu, starting with Chungking tofu served with brown rice and steamed bok choy. We're also making sesame noodles. You won't want to miss this episode. We are cooking with some of the best chefs from right here in our own community. So grab a seat, relax, we've got another great show coming at you. This is your Community Cooking. Hello and welcome to Community Cooking. I'm your host, Kirk Leins. In our kitchen today is registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It was nice to having you the last time. You made that delicious pasta puttanesca and the salad, and I looked over your menu today and it looks equally as good.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to prepare it for you.
We're starting off with something called Chungking tofu.
Correct.
I've got to ask you, what is Chungking tofu?
So
it sounds good, the ingredients sound good, but where does just Chungking come from?
So Chungking tofu is kind of a spin on one of my dad's signature dishes. Growing up, my dad would occasionally cook for us.
Right.
And when he did, it was always an event. And Chungking chicken was one of his dishes that he loved to make. So today I'm going to be doing a healthier twist on it using some tofu. And rather than frying the chicken, we're just going to be stir frying with less oil.
Beautiful, great.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you run us through the ingredients we're going to need for that?
Okay, so in today's dish, we've got first a little bit of vegetable oil to cook our garlic, ginger, and scallions. And then to make our sauce, we're going to go ahead and use some sesame oil, a little red wine vinegar, mirin, soy sauce, a little bit of chili paste with garlic, which is a very important ingredient, and lastly, a cornstarch slurry to kind of thicken it up a little bit.
Okay, so a couple of things. For those who are unfamiliar, mirin is basically an Asian fortified cooking wine.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, and it can be found, you can find mirin now at pretty much the regular supermarket.
Exactly. Many supermarkets have a little Asian section where you can actually find almost all of these ingredients.
Right. Now, there's regarding the chili paste with garlic, that can come in a lot of different shapes and forms and sizes. What do you recommend when you're looking for that?
So I actually have a favorite brand that I use that I won't be able to name on the show, but they make some really good chili paste with garlic sauces. You can look them up online. That's the best place I've found to find your chili paste with garlic. I don't really see it very often in the grocery store. So that's one of the ingredients you may have to look a little bit harder for.
And let's say you couldn't find it. What would you substitute with?
So you can use a pepper oil instead, sesame pepper oil. You'll also find along with these ingredients in many grocery stores. You could also use sriracha would be a good switch out.
Or sambal or something like that.
Sambal, exactly.
Perfect.
That might give it a little brighter flavor, and you might want to add a little more garlic if you're going to be using a different type of hot sauce.
Okay, now where do we start in terms of the cooking process?
So typically for this dish, we would fry the chicken first, but since I'm making a tofu version, I've decided to marinate tofu overnight, or you can do it more quickly in an hour, and that'll make a little bit of a healthier dish. So the trick with marinating tofu is following an important sequence. First thing you want to do is get most of that moisture out, because tofu by itself is pretty moist and bland.
And it comes in a lot of different forms. Are we dealing with extra firm here, or?
That's a good question. This is extra firm tofu.
Yeah.
I'd like it to hold its shape, and so extra firm tofu really does a good job in stir fries and anything where you're going to be sauteing.
And it will literally say that on the package, extra firm. It's not something we made up here.
That's not it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the trick with the tofu is you take that big old block of tofu and slice it kind of lengthwise.
Right.
And then what you want to do is press it between paper towels. And like I said, get a lot of that moisture out. Because the idea is to squeeze out the moisture it's packaged in so that it becomes almost like a sponge and soaks up what you marinate it with.
Right, because it's just basically sitting in water.
Exactly.
And it's water that now has sort of just kind of like a fermented bean curd flavor to it.
Exactly.
So you want to replace that with the good stuff.
That's exactly what
Gotcha.
we've done.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, when I usually do this, I will put cookie sheet down or baking sheet, maybe like 3-4 layers of paper towels, the tofu, the paper towels, and then I'll do another cookie sheet, same size, on top, and weight it down and walk away.
That's a great technique, exactly. So I marinated this tofu with just 3 ingredients. I used a little bit of the chili paste with garlic, some of the sesame seed oil, as well as soy sauce, and just a touch of mirin. So first we're going to prepare the sauce so that that's all ready, because the trick with a stir fry is to make sure you've got everything prepared once the pan is hot, you want to be ready to throw things in. We're going to make the sauce, so literally going to be combining almost all of these ingredients together in no particular order. The only thing that you need to watch is thank you.
Sure. I got to make myself useful.
You got to do something. Is to put in the cornstarch slurry last. And one of the important things to keep in mind with cornstarch is it has a tendency to clump up very easily. So a trick, oh, I forgot to mention a little bit of sugar just to sweeten it up a tiny bit.
We won't tell your registered dietitian friends about that.
Exactly. And so yeah, with the cornstarch slurry, the trick is to mix equal parts cornstarch with cold water and then slur that around. And that's why it's called a slurry.
Right. And that's a pretty, you know, that's a popular technique.
Exactly.
It's a way to thicken sauces.
Because as you can see here, it's already settled down to the bottom, so you kind of got to give it a nice little mix and then slowly whisk that in.
French chef, a chef friend of mine told me once his method was slurry. I mean, he did the exact same thing, but what he would do is he would put far more cornstarch to water, and his theory was this. He was like, he really wanted the least amount of this in his dish as possible, because if you've ever had an over cornstarched sauce, bleh, right? I mean, it kind of gets like thick and gummy and gooey. So his theory was he's going to make the slurry like super thick. So literally when he would like put it in, he would just like a couple of dots and it was enough because it was so, but yet it still needed that water so that it wouldn't clump up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what I've done here is just kind of mixed it. And you don't want to do this too far ahead of time again because the cornstarch will settle out. But you do definitely want it ready for when our pan is nice and hot. Okay.
I'm taking, you probably need the oil?
Exactly. So again, you want to get the bottom of the pan nice and warm. And
I brought your aromatics over here.
Thank you very much. So once that oil's good and hot, we'll add in our aromatics. And let that kind of
And you said that was green
around.
Onion, little scallions, some ginger, and garlic?
Exactly. Just a little ginger, garlic, and scallions. And I use both the white and the green of the scallions. The whites I chop up a little bit more fine. The green part you can slice up.
Okay.
So we'll just let that kind of warm up, get nice and aromatic. And you really want to just cook it for about a minute, depending on how hot your pan gets. And once you start to smell that fragrance coming through, you don't want to cook the garlic all the way through because it's going to continue cooking when we add more.
Or even the green parts of the scallions, because those could get a little bit like less green, let's say.
Exactly. Looks like we're ready for the tofu.
Yeah, that smells great.
Now be careful when you're adding this because tofu does have more moisture than if we were using the fried chicken, so it may splatter just a little bit.
But darn it, that fried chicken tastes good too, right?
It does. And you gotta indulge from time to time. Today we're going healthy. So we'll just let that saute for just a couple of minutes. Again, just letting some of the juices cook through, letting that garlic impart its flavor.
Yeah, because it's cooked.
Exactly.
It's cooked. It just
Tofu's
needs
cooked.
to sort of warm through.
Exactly.
Now, for people who are unsure what that is, it's basically just fermented bean curd, correct?
Right. It's basically you take soy milk and then that gets, you add a little bit of coagulant to make it firm up, curd up, and then it gets pressed with bricks, exactly. So the amount of pressing that they do changes the firmness. So the extra firm has been pushed. Okay, so we're just going to let that cook, and then in just a moment we'll be ready to add the sauce. And again, with this cornstarch, that'll make it nice, have a nice sheen to it, but not so much that it gets gummy, like you were saying.
And it'll thicken up when it comes up to temp.
Exactly. And that's making some beautiful noises. So we're pretty much almost ready to add this in. And then again, watch the splash, because again, we got a hot pan and moisture, so always be careful. Safety first.
So it's nice. So it's not like swimming in sauce. It's just sort of coated.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the idea. Just enough to coat it. And that's why I serve it with rice and a vegetable on the side, because you need a little bit more than just the tofu. I love to have it over brown rice. And that's what we've got here, just a little bit of baby bok choy that you've steamed and sliced in half. Exactly. And you're going to drizzle that with a little bit of... Yeah, here we have some pepper sesame oil and some soy sauce. Very simple, 2 ingredients. And a little bit of steamed brown rice. Exactly. You don't even need any salt or anything else on that. It's good as is. You know, I think there's simplicity, there's beauty and simplicity when it comes to vegetables. Now it's really wafting over here. That is awesome. Oh, yeah. So you're almost done here, correct? That smells like home. Yes, I am. We're almost ready to plate. All right, I tell you what, why don't we take a break, we'll plate it up, and then we're going to come back and we're going to make your sesame noodle dish. That sounds great. All right, don't go away. We will be right back.
Listen. All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them
I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just...
Listen.
Hi! Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on it.
Welcome back to Community Cooking. If you're just joining us, I'm here with registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin and a really delicious smelling plate of tofu and rice.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful, and it really, really is so aromatic and good. And we spoke about it on the other side of the break. This is just baby bok choy
Exactly.
that you steamed and split in half.
Exactly. Very simple, and it cooks in about 5 to 6 minutes, so it's pretty quick to prepare.
Right, and this is something that I could imagine you serving warm, or you could serve it even at like room temperature or cold, correct?
That's exactly it. And we're only going to lightly dress it today with just a little bit of soy sauce and some chili oil.
Be my guest.
Voila. So it's fairly straightforward. Again, just a little bit of soy sauce goes a long way with this, and you want to drizzle.
And is that low sodium or is that full sodium?
Exactly. This is reduced sodium. I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
Reduced sodium soy sauce. It is lower in salt, still very high, but it is lower.
But it's really important, especially when you're cooking it like this, because it'll reduce and get saltier.
Exactly.
So if you're using the full sodium soy sauce on something like this, it's going to be just like, whoa, through the roof salty.
Exactly. So just a little bit of oil, just
Oh,
a
that
little
smells
bit of
great.
sesame.
I will get these out of your way. Now, you're going to be making now a sesame noodle dish.
Exactly.
Why don't you run us through the ingredients while I deal with this here?
Exactly. So today we're going to be making a soba sesame noodle dish. So to prepare that, we have our soba noodles. We also have sesame seed paste, also known as tahini. So you can find it.
Right.
Sometimes they don't know what sesame seed paste is in the grocery store. They would recognize tahini. So we got tahini, a little bit of chili oil, red wine vinegar, sesame seed oil, soy sauce, and to garnish, we've got a little bit of green onions, thinly sliced.
Talk to us about these bad boys.
So these are soba noodles, and they are actually made out of buckwheat. So being derived from buckwheat, they are actually gluten-free. So for individuals who have celiac disease or who are gluten intolerant, this is a great choice, a great option.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because that is, it doesn't matter if you have celiacs or even if you have an intolerance. That is a miserable thing to deal with. And part of it isn't just the fact of what it does to you, but it's finding the replacements, because there's not too many gluten-free breads that taste awesome.
Exactly.
And if you like pasta or you like, you want your, that's a great alternative.
Exactly. So soba noodles you can find, again, in the Asian section of grocery stores as well. And just kind of slip it out of its little package. They come nicely portioned for you.
Right.
And then scatter them in there, and they cook actually much quicker than wheat pasta does. This only takes about 4 to 5 minutes or so, and it's done. So it's a fairly quick dish to prepare. So to make our sauce, so the first ingredient we would use is the sesame seed paste. And really, there's not a whole lot of trick to this. It's just combining all of the ingredients with the sesame seed paste until you get a nice smooth sauce.
And if you have trouble finding this in your market, the tahini, it's going to be in one of two places. It's either going to be by the peanut butter, or it's going to be in the like Middle Eastern food section or exotic food section, something like that.
Exactly. I just found it recently at a grocery store. It was right next to the peanut butter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where you can find it a lot of times.
Because all it is basically peanut butter made out, well, not peanut butter, it's sesame seed butter.
Yeah.
Pulverized sesame seeds.
That's it. I think, these days we're getting used to seeing, different types of nut butters. So having a sesame seed type of nut butter is not all that unusual.
And this recipe, once again, everything goes into the pool.
everything goes in. It's fairly straightforward to make. And then, again, just kind of stirring to combine. And it takes a little bit of time. It looks like it's not going to combine at first, but it'll come together.
How about the sugar?
I did put a little bit.
Oh, you
I
did?
used a little bit less this time around. I think I over-measured the sugar to begin with, so I used just about a teaspoon instead of 2
But that does also help balance out the saltiness.
Exactly, exactly. Bring some sweetness, some body to it, and I think sweet is a natural pairing with sesame many times. There's sesame candies out there, so it does kind of bring a nice richness.
Oh, that's making a really nice dressing. I like that.
Exactly.
That's really nice.
And it's the same bowl that we'll toss the pasta in once
And because of that sesame paste, it's emulsified.
Exactly, exactly. So I believe our pasta is getting close to ready. So we'll be ready to drain that in just a moment, and then we'll just mix that in with the sauce.
And what are you looking for there? Sort of like the same kind of al dente?
Yeah, almost al dente. Again, nice and limp. You can almost feel the consistency.
I'm going to move this to here so that you don't drag like too much water.
Thank you. That's a good idea.
And is that water that it's in, is that a little starchy, so it maybe adds even a little bit more body to this too?
Exactly. Yeah, that starch, when you cook pasta in a water, it does bring some of the starchiness to the dish, or to the water. And so many different cultures will use a little bit of cooking liquid in the sauce itself. Okay. And we're pretty ready. If you were going to be preparing this cold, an important step here would be to rinse these noodles with cold water just for about a minute to bring it down to temperature so they don't continue cooking.
Right.
But these we're going to serve a little bit warm today and just mix that in there with the sauce.
Yum, that smells so good. As soon as the heat hit that, it just came
yeah.
my way.
That sesame oil especially, very fragrant, very aromatic. And again, a very healthy, simple dish. And you could serve this, if you wanted to do it cold, you could serve this as the first course to today's lunch, or today's meal, I should say. And yeah, again,
we're so used to, like, and believe me, I'm guilty of it. I like butter just as much as the next chef, or cream. But it's amazing how creamy and unctuous you can get something without using like animal fats.
Exactly, and you know, there's a lot of, for example, vegan dishes that will use cashews, raw cashews.
You can make cheese out of cashews.
You can. You can make, I saw a vegan cream of celery soup that used cashews in it. So yeah, there's lots of great things that nuts do. And not only are you skipping the animal fats that you get from things like cream and cheese, but you get lots of really healthy natural oils.
Right.
So it's a win-win, really.
That's pretty much done, correct?
This is pretty much it. It's, again, very straightforward dish, very simple to make once you have all the ingredients ready. So.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we take a break, we'll plate it up, we'll come back, we'll eat.
Sounds good.
All right, don't go away, we will be right back.
Guess what? I have some news for you. There's free food right there, junk food. You see that truck? Oh, jeez. It's a 2 Michelin star chef. All for free, ladies and gentlemen. All for free.
Here we have a panzanella with summer vegetables and pesto. Enjoy. How we doing?
Fantastic. So what do you got going on underneath that plate there?
This food is really about to be thrown away.
Yeah.
Bro?
Is there something wrong with this food? Where did you get it from?
From farmers markets. They put aside the ugly vegetables and the ugly fruits.
Carrot top, soft avocados. It was all food that was going to be discarded.
Even the drink you had is made from like a little bruised peach. Did it taste a little bruised?
Great. It's good.
The average person throws away 24 pounds of food a month.
That's a lot.
Isn't that a lot? Go visit savethefood.com for more information. Thank you. Junk food time!
As a band, we try to make music that will fill the world with happiness. It's a magical thing getting to do what you love and seeing the way it affects the feelings of others. But there are still some people that want to fill the world with pain.
Online bullying can be stopped, however. We can all work together to fix it. This emoji is in the symbol section of your phone's emoji keyboard.
Use it when you see bullying online to say, I see what you're doing and it's not cool. Let's fill the world with music and love and beauty instead of anger and hate.
Join us and become a witness.
When you see bullying online, use this emoji to do something.
Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org.
Welcome back to Community Cooking. I'm here with registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin, and this looks and smells great, Jessica.
Well, thank you
really
very much.
does.
I'm excited to have you try it.
Well, we are going to try it. I tell you what, why don't I start dishing some food out here?
Beautiful.
And we really have quite a nice, like, sort of array of. I mean, we have a full meal here.
Absolutely. Appetizer,
Full
entree,
meal,
couple
actually.
side dishes.
I'm gonna do this.
Thank you.
I'm gonna Get some of this for me.
Shall I serve us some of the
Yeah,
noodles?
why don't you grab that?
Give it a little twist.
Do the pasta technique.
Right.
Try to get it up nice and high.
Do it as
Sometimes
best I
it
can.
works.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes we're just going
Perfect.
for eating.
Perfect.
I'm hungry.
All right, and then let me grab this here. We'll do.
Little bok choy.
Yeah. Slippery little suckers, as they say.
You gotta watch them.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
So I'm going for the tofu first.
That sounds good.
Let's see here. You know, tell your dad he's on to something. Yeah, you know what? There's nothing about this that is. This is such a great meat substitute with this marinade.
Absolutely.
Nothing about it that says tofu to me, you know? I mean, even the texture, because of the fact that you took that water out of it.
And that extra firm tofu is much more meaty and stands up really well in a good stir fry.
All right. Going for the noodles.
Oh, yes.
All right, I'm going to slurp. I don't care.
Do it. Actually, I did read that slurping is acceptable with soba noodles. In fact, it's expected when consuming them hot like we are today. So. Yeah. I love it. I love it. That is like the sesame equivalent of like a really good peanut sauce. Exactly.
Which for me, I'm very picky about. Because I think a lot of times people make them too sweet. It's like, it's like candy on it.
Exactly.
That's delicious.
Yeah, just a little bit of sweetness. And some heat. That pepper oil really brings it a good level of heat.
On the back end.
Absolutely.
Right now, let's clean off our palates with a little bit of bok choy.
That's right. Again, bringing balance with a little bit of vegetables. And very simple. Like this took only 5 minutes to prepare.
And you know what? It's amazing how much flavor that imparted onto just a plain steamed vegetable. You know, you don't think of things like a steamed vegetable as being like exciting. It really imparted a lot of flavor.
That's quite good.
So delicious. I could eat this every week.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. We gotta come back and do this again?
I definitely will.
Excellent. And I hope you all do the same. And this just goes to show you that we really are cooking with some of the best cooks right here in our own community. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. It's
If you'd like a copy of the recipes seen on this show, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Office of Cable and Community Relations. That's 3350 Civic Center Drive, Suite 200, in Torrance, California, 90503. Be sure to note the show number displayed on the screen. And don't forget you can find all the fresh ingredients used on today's show at the Farmers Market. Visit the one here in Torrance at Wilson Park. That's located at 2200 Crenshaw Boulevard. They're open every Tuesday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., rain or shine. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at communitycooking@torranceca.gov and check us out online at youtube.com/TorranceCityCable and like us on Facebook at Community Cooking TV.